I just thought I'd record a bit of a video this evening about international teaching, because every week I'm getting messages from different people asking different questions about it. So I thought I'd just try to answer some of those questions, because I've had maybe 10 in the last couple of weeks. It is kind of high season for applying for international jobs. I'm in a bar at the moment in Ljubljana, hence the noise. But I thought I'd record something, or live obviously, to try and answer some of these questions. Before I do that, just a little update on myself. Obviously I'm in Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia now. Moved here over Christmas from Spain. I spent 2.5 years over there in Spain, Vigo, kind of part of Galicia, and then moved over here to Ljubljana about 7 or 8 weeks ago now. City's fantastic, great city, but I'll maybe come on to that a little bit later on. Question number one, which was an interesting one: 2 people applying for a job in one school. Is it possible? Yeah. And in answer to your question, yeah, Jesus is my God. Two people in one school, yeah, it is possible, because most international schools are 3 to 18. So you got primary and secondary. Most international schools are all through. Most international schools, in my experience, if you both have something to offer, they're gonna snap that up, because I'll tell you why. Because if you're coming over there with a partner, they're straight away thinking that you're going to commit. There's more chance you're going to commit because you're going over there with your partner or family or whatever. If you're going over there on your own, perhaps there's less chance you're going to stay. So maybe that's something I think as a pro, actually, which might surprise people, but I genuinely think it is. If 2 people can often be better than one in an application for an international school, because they often have a lot of posts to fill. There's a high turnover of staff, so there's usually quite a lot of opportunities going on there. Someone else asked about age limits for international teaching. Don't think there is one. I think it's just about passion. I think it's about enthusiasm. I think it's about all the things that you would say about anybody applying for a job in the UK. Same rules apply for international. I suppose that question comes from, would someone have like the energy or something to go international? Well, obviously you can have someone in the mid-20s who doesn't want to do it. So I don't really think age has much to do with it. Hang on, let me just block this person. Goodbye, thank you very much. So I don't think age really has a huge amount to do with it. I genuinely don't. With international teaching, age isn't a factor. It really isn't. Locations: Europe, Middle East, Asia, South America. Europe, obviously you're close to home, and you cannot underestimate with international teaching that you can get homesick. You know, it's you're moving to a new place. You've got to build your friendship group from scratch. In Spain, I would say it took me at least 18 months. At least 18 months to feel like I had that network of friends and a community and everything else. It took me a while. First few months are difficult. Like here in Ljubljana, I don't know anybody outside of work yet. Not enough. What is going on here? Another block. Hang on. Goodbye. Europe, you're close to home. You cannot underestimate that feeling of homesickness and that feeling like you're alone, you don't know anybody. It takes some guts, it takes some resilience to say, okay, I'm going to go out there. Now, for me now, I'm joining lots of Facebook groups, I've joined Internations, I've joined Meetup, trying to get out there, trying to do things, but it's difficult. It's difficult because you've got the same teacher tiredness, let's say, when you come in from work. It's easy said than done. However, you do have more time to do it than you would in the UK. So you have to balance it out there. But Europe is a big benefit because you can fly home. So last weekend I went to TM Matt's Icons, which was insanely good. by the way. So thank you to everybody who spoke and organised that. Catherine Darwin organised it, amazing. Went back to the UK for that. It's easy for me now from Ljubljana. It was relatively easy from where I was in Spain, although it was still there were no direct flights from Vigo, so you had to go down to Porto, then fly to Manchester, Liverpool, London, wherever. So consider Europe, because I think if you go Middle East, South America, you can underestimate the distance and how difficult that is to actually go through months, not weeks, but months without going home. I'm not a particularly home kind of person. It doesn't bother me to not be at home for long periods. But obviously, if you're close to your family, if you're close to your friends and everything else, got to factor that in. In terms of cash, well, it's common knowledge that the Middle East and Asia is where it's at. Looking for money, obviously, to give you an example, Middle East, £40,000 tax-free for an average non-leadership position in a core subject, 40,000. On top of that, you may get health benefits, you may get travel benefits, you may get food provided for free in the school every day. Stuff. I mean, that's my school now. I get a lunch in school every day, and that you underestimate the cost of kind of making and bringing your own lunch every day. But it can be quite high when you think about it. So these things are interesting things to consider. Pension. I haven't had a pension in Spain or here, so again, that's another money consideration. What is the school giving you on your pension? The TPS, even though it's been devastated in recent years compared to what it was, still a very, very good pension scheme. So it's something to look at depending on your age, depending on your aspirations, and all that stuff. Obviously, in terms of kind of the cultural benefit of moving to Europe, somewhere like Ljubljana is absolutely stunning. Absolutely beautiful place. It's clean, it's safe, beautiful buildings. It's lovely. So again, how will that compare to? I know someone who taught in Beijing, and the pollution and the smog and everything, and you don't necessarily consider that when you're applying. These are things to consider, is the environment that you're actually going to be walking and travelling to work and back from work in can massively vary from place to place. How you get to work. Like now, I've given up my car, so I don't actually have a car. I go on the bus every day to work, and today I ran back, but obviously I'm saving a lot of money there from not having a car at the minute, living in the city centre, getting a bus to work. So there's benefits, it depends what you do, how you play it. Looking for a job. A lot of people right now are going to be looking for their first international job. So how do you go about that? How do you decide, right, okay, what am I going to do? So first thing I would recommend is following some international teachers on Twitter. So I'd recommend Kate Jones at 87 History, who currently teaches out in Dubai. And she's somebody I would maybe recommend to follow. Keep updated there with. She runs something called Teach UAE Chat. So maybe there's a chance there to connect with other educators in that region, or at least follow the hashtag Teach UAE Chat, to see what people are saying about teaching in the Middle East. Follow that hashtag. I think it's a weekly chat, bi-weekly, not sure. Best to contact Kate on that. Mr. Kemps, NZ. If you're looking at going to Australasia, Australia, New Zealand, if you're looking at going out there, he's your man. So he's got lists of international educators to follow in that direction. Had a chat to him when I met him at a TES event last year, and he had very, very good things to say about New Zealand and his school out there and how that was going. Again, I think a lot of people aspire to go to New Zealand. I mean, the opportunities are endless. There are schools in every region that you can think of that you can get a job in. And those schools are growing. Scott Alsop, Mr. Alsop History. Again, if you're looking at Europe, he's in Bucharest, so Romania. So if you want to maybe get in contact, if you're looking at that, Eastern Europe, he's your man. Follow him, tweet him. Hectic Teacher, at Hectic Teacher, used to teach in Luxembourg. So again, if you look in Central Europe, France and so on, she's a good one to seek out. At Chris Mayo, Chris is taught all over the shop. North Africa, Europe, he's a good one to follow. And then of course there's me for Europe as well. So I will offer any help that I can in that one. So I'd start by following some international educators if you can. It's a really, really good place to start. Again, where do you want to go? Again, thinking about the culture of the city, and then it might be that you send some prospective applications off to schools within those cities. Now, it's very, very difficult to know, as it is in the UK, what's actually happening within a school from the website and from and so on. That's where agencies can be helpful. Teacher Horizons is one that some international schools use. At Teacher Horizons, they're an agency who obviously specialise in getting teachers into international schools. They could be a good one to offer some independent advice on different schools. TES, obviously you're going to look for jobs, then a lot of international schools still go down the TES avenue. The International School Review is kind of a magazine online portal that offers, again, avenues to do research. COBIS, which is the Council of British International Schools, their website has a search function where you can search for jobs. There is a job facility. So you can go on COBIS website, look up the jobs, do a filter as you would on the TES, and see what jobs are there through COBIS schools. And the advantage there is they're going to be British curriculum schools. So straight away, if you go to say an American international school, it's going to be different. Go to a British one, you got the British curriculum. So TES for job searching, COBIS for job searching, Teacher Horizons possibly. School groups. Nord Anglia is probably one of the biggest ones. You can follow Nord Anglia on Twitter at NA Education. Nord Anglia is a huge group of international schools all across Europe, the United States and beyond. There are other smaller school groups that are growing. Interesting thing with those school groups is, I'll give you two examples, Orbital, which is the group that I'm now a part of, and NAFE Schools, which is another kind of, I would say smaller, but more localised international school group. These international school groups, the opportunities for switching between schools for promotion within organisations is probably pretty high in those school groups because they're smaller groups. So, of course, the talent pool is going to be smaller, so you're maybe going to have more opportunity there to move around and so on if you want to switch location. So yeah, research school groups. I just Google international school groups. And again, you can start to understand who owns what school, do research on the groups, who owns the groups, what is the philosophy of the school group that owns the actual international school. Most international schools are not independent, they're owned by a group of schools, and often you need to look at, okay, who owns the group, what is the group's philosophy on different issues. The TES run an international job fair, so again, this might be an opportunity to actually go to London. And actually, international schools will have stands there. So again, just Google TES International School Fair, and you can maybe go to one of those events in London and see what's available there. All in all, would I recommend international teaching? 100% yes. In every aspect, it's a win-win, especially if whether you're looking for the experience or whether you're looking for something permanent. How long should you stay outside the UK? No idea. I've now done 3 years. I've done a hell of a lot of CPD. I've taken control of my own professional development much more in the last few years. So CPD-wise, I've been obviously doing this and that and the other. TM Icons being the biggest one. Obviously going to different teach meets, organising that, going to different events, speaking at different events, and so on and so forth. So for me, I've still kept in touch with, and you can do that, especially from Europe. Dubai, speak to people who are out there in the Middle East. Huge CPD network out there. Huge opportunities to get involved in different things. So again, you're not leaving the UK and leaving behind professionalism. Although you do have to be careful with international teaching. You do have to do your research. You do have to look into things carefully, and as carefully as you can. It's always going to be a gamble whenever you move and wherever you move. bottom line is, my personal opinion is, it's a fantastic move. You cannot, the experience you're going to get, the people you're going to meet, the cities and cultures you're going to experience. Brilliant. Brexit, obviously here there's meetings in the Slovenian embassy in the next couple of weeks to discuss the outcome of Brexit on different things like visas, healthcare, travel, etc., etc. Who knows what's going to happen with that? It's a little bit up in the air, as we know. So that might be something to factor in if it's Europe that you're looking at. It might be something to consider, okay, what is going to happen here? Should I wait until after March 29th to arrange my move abroad, or should I just start applying now? There's going to be a transition period anyway, so it's probably not going to affect the next 2 years. It's not actually going to really affect anything unless it's a no deal. And even with a no deal, there's probably going to be reciprocal agreements and arrangements. So I don't think it's a huge concern, but it is something to definitely consider longer term. If you're thinking, right, I'm going to go to Europe for 5-10 years, yeah, it's something to really consider. So I've tried to answer some of the questions that I've had. I'm not an expert. I'm only one guy who has some experience of international teaching and has spoken to other people who I've suggested also following. But I do think it's useful to discuss these issues. Certainly it would have benefited me before I went to just have that kind of informal conversation and chat about things. So thanks for listening, and as I say, pop us a tweet or a DM if you've got any kind of questions about anything I've discussed here, and I will either try and answer it myself or pass on to someone who I know who can maybe help out a bit more. I know how difficult it can be if you feel trapped in a school, and sometimes the opportunity is to quit or to think, well, I'm just going to leave, but maybe overlooking an international option, because it is different. So I would highly recommend looking at all your options if you're in that position right now. It's a difficult time after the Feb half term. Maybe it's during the Feb half term for you. Considering your future, don't discount international teaching. It could be the way forward for you. Cheers, everybody, and I hope that's helped somebody out there. Cheers, all. Bye.